Welcome to Make More Marbles. My name is Brad Hart, and we're here to interview the game changers, the future makers, the co-collaborators and creators who are here to collaborate with one another towards a better future for all of us. Enjoy the show. We've got a great guest coming up for you right now. I'm on Facebook. We're live on Facebook. All right, guys. What is happening? Welcome. I'm going to give everybody a chance to jump on this live webinar with Mr. Eli Wilde. What's going on, Eli?
Good, brother. Just happy to connect with you today and maybe change some folks' lives.
I love it. So Eli and I met about 3 years ago at an Unleash the Power Within event for Tony Robbins. And Eli is one of the top trainers that they've ever had. I mean, he routinely sold, many tickets to, thousands of tickets sometimes to UPW events for many years. He was mentored by Tony Robbins personally. Eli's a dear friend and somebody who's really a game changer in the ways that he acts and shows up in the world. I have nothing but respect and admiration for this man. And since he's left the Tony Robbins company, he's also, still a huge advocate of their work. So I leaned on him for quite a while, and I gently nudged and I said, hey man, I'd really love to get more people to see this work. I can only do what I can do to influence them to do so, but I'd really love for them to understand what Tony Robbins' work is all about, what your work is all about, what you've learned from your time in that organization. And I don't want to talk too much. If you have any input for me, I'm happy to add it, but I'd love for you to just share your story and take it away.
Awesome. Well, I hope we'll get some folks on here, and when they are on, we'll be able to take people through frameworks. And studying NLP, and I was actually introduced to Tony's work because I was really in a bad place in my own life, and I was reading books, on hypnosis, confidence, self-development, and I got into NLP, and I really wanted to understand why people do the things they do, why we become who we become, how we end up where we end up, and how to make changes. And I figured out there were frameworks, there were strategies, and everything from studying NLP could be broken down to a strategy. Tony later took some of that work and called it NAC, neuro-associative conditioning, saying that we can't really be programmed. And that's what NLP is all about. Neuro, meaning your nervous system, using language, and then literally changing our mind and emotions. But we can't really program ourselves like computers, but we can condition ourselves. So Tony called it neuro-associative conditioning. How do we condition our states of mind and emotion to become more effective, more resourceful, to get more out of ourselves and have a better life? And Tony took some of these concepts. And by the way, I hadn't heard of Tony. People just said, you got to check out this Tony Robbins guy. And I was like, who's Tony Robbins? And I got his book, Unlimited Power. And it was very different than the principle-based self-development work that I'd seen in Think and Grow Rich, which is amazing. Or even 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talking about principles. But I found that for myself and a lot of people that I talk to, a lot of us know what to do, but sometimes we don't do what we know. And we have certain emotions. There's a driving force in us of fear, frustration, maybe not even consciously, but something in our nervous system. And any result, anything, when you see somebody successful in relationship, or you see somebody doing well financially, anything can be broken down to a strategy, from how to shoot a basketball to how to shoot a gun. And so really breaking down these patterns is what I'm going to talk about here today, and introduce you to a couple frameworks that could potentially change your life if you really take this work, not just intellectually like we're going to talk about today, but do some things to put yourself in an environment where these things can become an active part of your neurology. You literally condition yourself to be more effective at getting more out of your life, out of your relationships, and not to take advantage of people or things like that, but to really have a full experience of life. So that's the body of work that I was introduced to in 2005. And once I got this stuff, it was a game changer for me. And I know that anybody that really embraces this work makes it such a huge, dramatic shift on the quality of their life. And, I live here in Beverly Hills now, and I see people that have it all, potentially, financially success and, healthy, attractive, but they're miserable inside. And so the quality of our life comes down to the quality of our emotions. Not only how we communicate with others, but how we communicate with ourselves, our thoughts, our feelings, patterns of meaning, patterns of focus, the questions we ask ourselves, even our physiology. And so how do we recondition ourselves? How do we recondition ourselves for success? How do we condition these patterns that may be limiting us financially, emotionally, spiritually? How do we open ourselves up and recondition ourselves based on strategies of people that have come before us, model the patterns, what's working, look at what's not working, and make some real changes? So that's what today's all about. And so, Brad, will I be able to see people on here?
Yeah, as they join on Facebook, I'm going to read any comments that we have, and I'll just keep you appraised. But I don't want you to be distracted by that, so I'll handle it. Not to worry, and I'm here if you need me.
Awesome. So yeah, I'll usually I like to engage with people a lot, but I'll just talk for a while. And if it's a lot of people in there are parts of this workshop that I do that are very interactive, where I take people through the success cycle and I systematically plug their answers into certain frameworks to bring about a result where they can actually see the power of this work. But for now, I'll just mention this. If you've not heard of Tony Robbins at this point, for me, like, I hadn't heard of him. He was the infomercial king, but I didn't watch a lot of TV. So most of you these days have heard of him. And if you're not familiar with his work, in his mid-20s, he was coaching the president. And this was before, people like Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, Princess Diana was coached by Tony for 8 years. And this was before social media and internet, where you can invest in Facebook ads and do shares and, really get yourself out there. He had to do it the hard way by knocking on doors, getting referrals, and making such a deep impact that, really going into circumstances that were impossible to change and creating change, this one man, and he just did not give up. And he's built a resource of skills and abilities now and a reputation for being the best person in the world to help people like you and me change the quality of our life. And so how does he do this? It all comes down to what I mentioned earlier, this word patterns. And so if you're taking some notes, you might want to write down that word, but think of it in this term. What is a pattern? A pattern is a habit, something that we do over and over and over again, like brushing our teeth, going to the gym, wasting time on Facebook, scrolling, whatever it is. We all have habits, and it's these habits that produce our results. And so right now, if you think about some of your patterns and your habits, those patterns and habits are what have created your results. And so if you want to get better results, get more out of your year, more income, more success, more love, more passion, better health, we need to look at some of our habits, some of those patterns, the ones that are empowering us and the ones that may be limiting us. And so if you're taking notes right now, we're going to look at a framework here that I like to call SAM, S-A-M, really easy to remember. And write this down. The S is going to stand for strategies. And so what are strategies? Strategies are basically, it's like your plan of action. It's those things that you do to get you where you're at. But most people have no plan. And you've heard this, or they have no strategy. And you've heard this before, that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So where are you at in your strategies? To be really successful in life, you need hunger. And that's something I can't give you. There has to be a drive, a passion inside of you. You need to really be hungry. Like, you get up every day with something inside of you that just makes you want to do more. You're hungry to learn. You're hungry to build, to grow, to love, to really make your life mean something. And we've all had times in our life where we've lost our hunger. So putting yourself in an environment where people are hungry can really make a change. Like, if you want to learn a language, you can study for an hour here and there, or you can go to the country. You can immerse yourself in an environment where people speak that language. Putting yourself around people who are hungry, who are determined, who are passionate, who are stepping up their game. They say iron sharpens iron, people sharpen people. So proximity is power. So to be more successful this year and for the rest of your life, you need to have strategies of the environments we put ourselves in, of how we communicate with others, marketing strategies, business strategies. So your plan, where would you say you're at in your strategies 1 to 10? How effectively do you use your strategy? So we got to be hungry. We have to have a vision bigger than ourselves, and we have to have strategies. The second thing, the A, stands for activities. So often people go read books. They sign up for email lists and get PDFs. So they get all these strategies, but they don't actually apply them. So if you're in business, it's, how many offers do you make? Out of those offers, it's knowing your numbers. It's, how many referrals do you get? How many sales do you get? What are you doing every single day strategically? But then the application of those strategies. How well do you actually implement in your life? Speed of implementation is going to be key to you having success in your life. So many people get addicted to getting more strategies and reading more books, and they're like studying this thing and this thing and this thing, but it's about speed of implementation. How well do you implement? What are the level of activities that you take every single day? And the last area, this M stands for mindset. Mindset. 80% of your success in business, your health, your relationships, 80% of your success in everything you do in your life comes down to your mindset. The ability to have an unshakable, unstoppable mental attitude. When you are so confident, so certain in yourself, in your abilities, in the market, in the economy, you truly are able to do whatever it takes. The only thing stopping, when I go to a company, I see the most successful person in the company and the least successful. It's always amazing to me because they often have the same market. Say it's a real estate company. They have the same market, sometimes the same script, saying the same words, the same opportunity. They have the same training. One person making millions and millions of dollars, the other person barely getting by. 80% of your success comes down to your mindset, the ability to unlock and unleash, to transform your mindset, to have this will, this determination, this hunger, this absolute passion to do whatever it takes. And so when you have the mindset, it all comes down to your mindset. I remember when I was living in Miami a couple years ago, I would go into these companies and I would meet people who were just getting by, people from America, and they blamed the market, they blamed the economy, they blamed their parents. They had so many things stopping them. But in Miami, if you've been there, there's a very ethnic culture there. And I literally met people that came to this country illegally, could not even speak the language, and had been living here for about 20 years and were multimillionaires. They came here with no resources, literally like almost not even a shirt on their back. And they became multimillionaires because it's not about your resources, it's your lack of resourcefulness. And so how do we make ourselves more resourceful? How do we get more out of our lives, of ourself, of our emotion? How do we understand the driving force that's inside of us? And how do we recondition ourselves and condition ourselves to have an empowered life? So what I want you to do right now is think about the last year of your life, 2017, it's gone. And it's crazy. I remember my mom saying this when I was young. She says, as you get older, the years are going to go by faster and faster and faster. And I realized one day it's actually true. Because when you're, say, like 10 years old, 1 year of your life is like 10% of your life. But when you're 40, it's 2.5% of your life. So, relatively, it feels like it's going faster and faster and faster. And we also know that, time's not slowing down and we're not getting any younger. And so sometimes it's really looking at our life, looking at some of our patterns and hitting that mental emotional reset button to figure out where we are and where we want to be. Where do we really want to go in this life? But first, in order for us to figure out where we want to go, we do need to know where we've been. Where are we coming from? What are the patterns? How effective have you been in your mindset, in your strategies, in your implementation? Where would you consider yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? And I love asking this question, by the way, 1 to 10. What gets measured gets improved. And having some kind of measurement for where you're at in your life can be huge. To really track yourself daily or monthly or yearly, like how am I doing? Where do I feel like I'm at in my full potential as a human being? So if you were to look at the last year of your life, and if you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel like you're showing up in your full potential as a human being? Like in your health, in your relationships, in your business. Like if you, heaven forbid, if the world ended today, you say, you know what, did I give everything I've got every moment at a 10, really maximizing my potential, pushing past challenges at a 10? Or was I maybe passive or, didn't really take action or didn't implement your strategies, your activities, your mindset? Where would you say that you're at? And it's interesting, but, as you write down this answer, I think it was 2011. I remember Oprah had come to our event for the first time, and my girlfriend at the time, Amy, was sitting by Oprah, and Tony asked a very similar question from the stage. Where are you showing up in your life? And it was interesting. Oprah, you figure, she's a pretty successful lady, and everything she's come through, all the challenges, all the resourcefulness, all the fears and insecurities and doubts that she's had to push through to get to where she is, you figure this person's at a 10. But out of curiosity, my girlfriend Amy asked Oprah, said, scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel like you're at in your life? What number do you think Oprah gave herself? She gave herself a 3. A 3. Not to put herself down, but when she thinks of her life, she believes there's so much more she can do. A lot of people do get successful in life and they get complacent. They get a little money, they have some success and they lose their hunger. You don't get to be at Oprah's level. You don't get to be at Tony Robbins' level. You don't get to be massively successful until you've got a pattern in you conditioned of hunger that is not based upon external circumstances of people's opinion or money or what's so-called success is. There is a conditioned pattern of hunger in you, and you believe that there's always a next level. And you don't just believe that, you're consistently, strategically designing your life in a way for strategic implementation of new ideas, new voices. You're hungry to learn, hungry to find out what you're capable of. So Oprah, despite all of her success, she thinks, wow, there's so much more I could do. It's not to put herself down. She acknowledges that she's done a lot, but she feels like she's only scratching the surface of her abilities. And somebody that's come from there to go to all the way she is now, if she can put herself at a 3, sometimes we need to think, wow, maybe I could be more capable as well. And so when I do these exercises in companies, usually people put themselves somewhere in the middle, like 5, or 6, or 7. So where would you put yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? Where do you feel like you're really showing up in this game of life? And so here is the $1 million question. Most of us would not say that we're at a 10. Now if you're at a 10, to me, that means that Warren Buffett's calling you for financial advice. Michael Jordan's asking you to play, how do I play basketball better? Arnold Schwarzenegger's saying, hey, how do I put a little more meat on my biceps? It's like, that's a 10 to me, where you're just like maximizing every single area of your life is like, boom, where you are just, really push the limit. And it's not about, being better than other people. There are people that run races without legs. There are people that literally are every single day, despite their circumstances, are maximizing their potential. And it is amazing what a human being can do. So I've never met anybody that has said that they're fully at a 10. There's always a next level. And that's a belief that you might want to take on. There's always a next level, because that belief, that hunger will make you excited for the day, because just we're alive. We're like plants and animals. We're connected to this earth. And if a plant's not growing, it's dying. And it's the same way with you. And so what is that next level of growth? And truly, what are you committed to feel more alive, not only in your business, but in your relationships, to have that energy, that certainty, that aliveness that's very attractive in business. It's attractive in relationship. When you're around somebody that's kind of like, kind of stuck, you don't feel any of that juju. But when you're around somebody that has that drive, that passion, that hunger, it is awesome to be around, but it's more awesome to be. So I've never met anybody that was truly at a 10. So most of us have a next level. So right now, the question is this. Here's the $1 million question. Where are you at? And what is a level 10 for you? What is that next level for you? And in order for you to get anything out of this time here together, the most important question is this. You have to be, I'm going to ask you this first before I ask you the question. You have to be 100% honest with yourself, not with me. You have to be 100% honest with you. Are you willing to do this? Are you willing to be honest with yourself, for yourself? Well, if so, the question is this. What has been stopping you from being at that next level? If there are people that run races without legs, if there's people that come here illegally to this country, if there's people that have overcome horrible circumstances and still had massive success, what do you feel has stopped you from making more money, having better health, having better relationships? When you think about the most important areas of your life, what is the next level there? And what are 2 or 3 reasons you feel you're not already living that level of success or confidence today? What are the reasons? What's been holding you back? And when I do these workshops in public, typically the questions or the answers I get are things like procrastination, fear, self-doubt, laziness. And remember what I said. These words, these are just patterns. It's not who you are. It's who you become. It's how we've conditioned ourselves. And so people say, well, I'm lazy, I'm fearful, I'm scared, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. These are often just patterns of thought, patterns of feeling, patterns of self-worth. They're patterns, and any pattern can be reconditioned and changed. You have to believe that. And so most people have certain patterns, but I want you to realize this, and this is the most important thing I think Sigmund Freud ever said. I don't agree with everything he said, but he said something really, really brilliant. He says the most important thing inside of a human being is their sense of identity. Human beings, we all act in accordance with how we see ourselves. Our identity, how we see ourselves, is a driving force. And so I would never say to somebody like a child, for example, like maybe you watching this, maybe you have a kid, but I would never say to a child something like, If I saw the child do something like act up and be bad, quote unquote bad, I would never say, Johnny, you're bad. I would say, Johnny, you're freaking amazing, but this behavior is not like you. So there's who Johnny is. And I'd say this behavior is not like you. You're amazing, but you're acting in a behavior that is not in alignment with who you really are. And I think all of us, just, because we have stress or we get in certain situations where we don't act in alignment with who we really are. And sometimes we forget who we really are. We fall into patterns of limitation, of fear, of self-doubt, of laziness, of distraction. And this isn't who you are. Sometimes it's who we become. And those patterns, if not changed, can take us on a path in life where we look back on our life one day with regret. And so it's great now to recognize these patterns, figure out how we can actually make changes to them so we can live the life that we want, a life by design and not a life by default. And so what has it been for you? Is it fear? Is it self-doubt? Is it laziness? What are some of those patterns that have been stopping you? And what are they really costing you in your life? And know this, it's not who you are. It's just been how you become conditioned. And we're being conditioned all the time. If you drove down the street today, you saw about $10 billion worth of advertising. Those people in, New York on Fifth Avenue, these marketers, these internet marketers, your attention is very, very valuable and is being pulled in lots and lots of different directions. So my invitation to you by the end of this little training here is to learn how to figure out how to advertise in your own mind, to recondition yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, to condition the patterns, condition yourself to be, do, and have more by making some massive changes, by committing to yourself of what you really want your life to look like. And so what is it that separates the most successful people in the world from the ones who just get by? Why is it that when I go to those companies, some people become massively successful while some barely get by? Same company. Why some people get to the gym 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week, where somebody else is like, I can't find the time, or I just can't eat right. Why do some people have these relationships, passion, love, intimacy? Or some people will never find that. Some people will spend the rest of their life alone. All the things that you wrote down today, fear, procrastination, self-doubt, laziness, other people, all these things are correct. But there is one underlying pattern. There is one underlying concept that is driving all that behavior. And it comes down to this. Please write this down. It is a very scientific term. You might not be able to fully grasp this term all at once, but please write this down. It comes down to your BS. Your BS. All those things you wrote down are your BS. And I'm not cussing at you. It means your belief system. Your belief system. A belief. So what is a belief? A belief is a feeling. It's a feeling of absolute certainty. What you believe about any given subject, money, success, business, love, yourself, your beliefs will determine how you feel about that subject. Your feelings will determine your behavior, your thoughts, your decisions, your actions. And those actions ultimately become your results. So all human behavior, therefore all results in life, are belief driven. And so when I talk about these beliefs that we have inside of us, we basically have two, or as they say in Miami, they have dos. And so write these down. The first is called a limiting belief. And what do you think a limiting belief does? If you're pretty smart out there, you're right. A limiting belief limits us. They stop us. They limit us. They hold us back. They stop us from taking massive levels of action towards everything we want to do or have or be or create or share or really get to experience in a limited amount of time that you have on this planet. A limiting belief is something that stops us from getting the things that we want. But the second kind of belief is this. Please write this down. It's called an empowering belief. An empowering belief. And what do you think an empowering belief does? Yes, that's right. They empower us. They motivate us. They drive us. They get us to take massive action towards everything we want to do or have or be or become or create or share or really get to experience in a limited amount of time that we have on this planet. We've only got so many days here, and these are the things that empower us to do and be and have more and really have a great experience of life, to get more out of our life, for you to take advantage of the opportunity that you have in this life, for you to really get out of the patterns of your fear or your frustration or your anxiety or or your stress, and really tap into what's possible for you to feel empowered to take massive action towards your dreams. And it's interesting. I go to a lot of companies, like I said, and I meet a lot of different people. Some people on the path to their success, and people blame their mindset or their past or their, all these excuses. But I want you to know that success and failure all come from our mindset. And so there's a little bit of an exercise that I want to walk you through here today, where if you really get this, you're going to write some things down. And if you really get this, it has the power to change everything. So I want you to write down your goals for this year. And because I'm with Brad here, and this is a Make More Marbles podcast presentation here, I want you to start thinking in terms of, what is it you want? What do you want to create financially, business, and get specific. And most people say, I want to make more money. Here's $1, get out of here. I want to lose some weight, lose a pound, maybe, not eat for a day. You've done it. Goals are specific. And the reason is, when you see something that's specific, even when you see a great actor or a great writer, they write in such detail. It does something to our nervous system, makes us more engaged. And you want to be actively connected to the things that you want to create this year. So how much money do you want to make? What do you want to create? What do you want to create in your life? $100,000, $200,000? Is it $1 million? Do you want to be a famous movie star? Do you want to run a marathon? What are some things you want to do or have or be or become in these next 11 months that we have this year? And it's going by faster and faster and faster. And so whatever it is you want, I want you to realize this, that every goal that you create in your life this year, every result, all results come from specific, measurable action. Write down this word, actions. Actions. In order for you to achieve all you want, you think you have to take a little bit of action or a lot of action? A lot of action. You're going to have to implement. You're going to do something to implement these ideas in your life, where it's not just airy-fairy goals or dreams or things you write down on your vision board. Don't put things on your bucket list where they die. You put them on your calendar. Setting up plans. When you schedule it, it becomes real. So you're going to take lots of action. But in order for you to take the kind of action to communicate effectively, to do the things, not only will you communicate effectively with others, but more importantly yourself, in order for you to empower yourself to take the level of action that it takes, effective action, not just more action, but effective action, you must be able to tap into a certain level of your potential. Potential. So how much of your potential do you feel like you're tapping into? And it's interesting, going back to that, what I said there, some people run races without legs. I did a meeting, I was probably like 7 years ago now. I was in Chicago, and I met a man who literally said that he was going to be in the Olympics. And when people have a big goal like that, I usually kind of challenge them a little bit, because a lot of people talk. A lot of people like to talk, and they're not really willing to put their money where their mouth is, so to speak. And so I said, what are you going to do? What's your plan? Most people, like I said, they fail to plan. They're more like dreams, more like hopes, more like wishes. They don't really have goals with a specific plan. They're not investing the time. They're not investing in themselves. They're not learning from mentors. They don't have a specific scheduled routine they don't have habits and patterns that lead to results. So I asked this guy about what his day was like, what he was up to. Turns out, got up at 4 a.m. every morning, ran for, 3 hours and had all this meals scheduled, and he got massages, and this guy was fully on it. And he was one of the top real estate agents in his company. And if that wasn't amazing enough, the guy had prosthetic legs. So literally, this guy is up there training. Some people can't get themselves to the gym. Some people can't get themselves to go for a walk, even though they know they should. This guy is running every single day on prosthetic legs. Absolutely amazing. So what is our potential? We don't know. But very few people even scratch the surface of really what they're capable of. Because here's the thing. In order for you to tap into your full potential as a human being, where you show up fully, you take action. In order for you to take those actions to get the results, you need to realize this. In order for you to tap into your full potential, to show up in your life and take the action to get the result that you wrote down, yes, you can do it. But first and foremost, it all comes down to your belief. What kind of belief do you need to have about the market, the economy, about your past, about your future, about people, about your business? What kind of belief, most importantly, must you have about yourself? All human behavior, therefore all results, are belief driven. So if we take some of the things that might have been stopping you in your life, um, fear, procrastination, self-doubt, these all these patterns, and again, they're not you, they're just patterns that you've fallen into. All of those patterns create limiting beliefs. Well, I'm fearful. It's a pattern you've gotten into. And so when we have these patterns, these limiting beliefs about ourselves or the market or the economy, they make us tap into less potential. And when you tap into less potential, you take less action. And it's not rocket science. If you're taking less action every day, do you get better results or worse results? We know that it's worse. And then we look back year after year and say, oh, I coulda, I shoulda, I woulda. And then the challenging thing is this. When we see these lack of results, when we look at our bank account, we feel the stress, when we know we've had a pattern where we're not implementing, we know we're not taking action, when we're limiting ourselves consistently, and we see that those results in our life and it's not the way that we want, we have this cognitive dissonance. We know that it could be better, but it's not. This is our reality. What kind of belief system does this form about business or market or economy? It reinforces those patterns. You say, you know what, that's how it is. I told you it's the market. I told you it's the economy. I told you I don't have time. I told you it's me. I told you I don't have the confidence. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We reinforce these belief systems year after year after year, and they become harder to change. Where we know what to do, we read the books, but we don't implement. We have certain patterns that stop us from really tapping into our potential. And so all success is belief driven. Success and failure are on the exact same road called life. Success is just a bit further down the road. It is always available to you, but there's certain patterns of drive, of just being effective that we need to really look at, eliminate certain patterns and recondition ourselves with new patterns if we really want to be successful. So here's what I want you to do. Think about the patterns that you wrote down. Fear, procrastination, self-doubt, laziness. Maybe it's all of the above. Maybe it's just insecurity. Maybe it's doubt. Let's be honest with ourselves. Maybe it's a new skill. Maybe it's been your inability to learn, to really take on new ideas. Maybe you're just stuck. Maybe you're just in a funky state. Maybe it's something emotionally. That pattern that you wrote down, is that pattern of laziness or fear, is that pattern new or is it old? I'm willing to bet it's been there for a little bit of time. Stanford University actually did a study about 50 years ago now, and they scientifically proved that 50% of your patterns were put there by the age of 5. They can figure out how much money you're going to make based on the patterns of what you were exposed to as a child, or the things you started to do. Your relationship, were your parents in a divorce, alcohol. 50% of our behavior is conditioned inside of us based on what we saw by the age of 5 years old. And if you have kids, you know this. Kids don't always do what you tell them to do. They model the patterns of behavior they see around them. And so by the age of 18, 95% of our patterns were conditioned inside of us. And so if that's you, think about where you grew up. Think about some of the patterns, what you were exposed to. Those patterns that you picked up, what you saw, what you experienced, what you heard, what somebody said to you, those patterns, are those still affecting you today? And more importantly, if you do have kids, are there certain patterns that you wrote down of fear, procrastination, laziness, or self-doubt? Are those patterns sending a message to your children? Because again, kids don't do what you tell them to do. They model the patterns of behavior that they see and what they feel and what they're exposed to. And so the patterns that you wrote down, have those patterns cost you money? How much money do you feel like you've left on the table in the past 2 years or 5 years or the last 20 years of your life? Every single year, are you leaving $10,000 a month on the table, $100,000 a year? Are you leaving $1 million a year for the past 10 years? How much money have these patterns cost you in your life? And I think money's important. We're all about making more marbles here. We're all about having more success. And I think money's very important, but it's not the most important thing. Have those patterns caused you stress? Have they caused fear? Have they caused you to doubt yourself? Have they taken away from your joy, from your impact, from your love? Have they caused you to react in a certain way that you knew that was out of alignment with who you really are, but it was patterns that maybe you picked up from your parents or your environment or things that you told yourself? Maybe it's things that have been there for a very long time, and you're becoming consciously aware now that there's some patterns that are holding you back. What has it really cost you in your life, in your relationships, in your income, in your health, how we treat ourselves? What is the cost to have these patterns inside of us? And so looking at that, how much longer is that going to be okay? How much longer are you going to allow yourself to stay exactly where you're at. And so realize we always have a choice. It's not who we are, but who we become. And so maybe it's time for you to make new choices. When I was introduced to this body of work from Tony Robbins, I heard all these people saying, go to this thing. And it was super expensive for me. My rent was $450 a month. And I had trouble paying that. And I was really in a tough spot. And I had been through a really tough time here in Los Angeles. It was hard. It was hard for me to be here. And I partied a lot. I did a lot of drugs, really got myself off track out of my own insecurities, my need for approval, using substances to fill me up because I felt so empty inside. And I kept on hearing about this and, and I was skeptical, but then it was like, Michael Jordan and, I like all the, going to these events and Kobe Bryant, all these people I respected were like, this is the real deal. And I was like, well, maybe there's something there. So I read the book, but he talks constantly about going to the event, about immersing yourself in these experiences. And I thought about it. And I saw like his infomercial and I listened to some of the audios, and Tony's a very influential guy. I wanted to go, but I wasn't really committed. And it wasn't Tony Robbins that got me to a Tony Robbins event. It was sitting around, and it was very timely for me. I'd been, and some of you know some of my story, I was cast to be Superman in the movie Superman Returns. I took really good care of my health for a while, but then I just partied a lot and I had all these opportunities, and I managed to destroy some opportunities. And that experience really was like a downward spiral for me, limiting my, my potential, limiting my action, limiting my belief, limiting my results. And I was caught in a downward spiral. Maybe you've been there yourself. And I was home one night, and I had my pattern where I would go home and, watch TV and, eat like TV dinners and things like that. And just, or eat like bags of trail mix and just sit around kind of apathetic. And usually I'd watch movies, try to watch comedies and things like that to make me feel good, because I didn't feel good inside and I was looking for distraction. Maybe you've been there. And I'm flipping around, and on this particular night, I'm flipping around and I see it's a rerun of an interview that Larry King was doing with Clark Kent himself, with Christopher Reeve. And it was just really timely. And I mean, who doesn't love Christopher Reeve? He's like a boyhood hero for me to watch Superman. And I remember feeling so dull in my life, feeling so complacent. But watching this interview, I had some emotion driven into me. Like something like kind of got me shaken up a little bit watching this interview, several things. But I remember what triggered me was specifically a question that Larry King asked Christopher Reeve. My dad's in a wheelchair, and, seeing Christopher Reeve in a wheelchair, it did something to me. But the question that triggered me, because I was always protective of my father, not that he needed protection, but I was, kids would make fun of me or my father for being in a wheelchair. And so this triggered me. And the question that Larry King asked was this. He said, Mr. Reeve, does it bother you that at one point in your life, you were the strongest man on the planet? You were Superman. People looked up to you. They respected you. You were a symbol of strength, of freedom. I mean, you were freaking Superman. He said, does it bother you that here you are today in my studio with 2 tubes in your neck just to help you to breathe? Does it bother you that someone has to help you go to the bathroom? Mr. Reeve, does it bother you that you're physically paralyzed? And Christopher Reeve, with all the stature, all the poise, all the power, all the grace, looked right at him and said, you know what, Larry, it doesn't bother me. But what does bother me is this. It bothers me that there are men and women out there today, right now, watching this video maybe, who are physically capable. They have the potential to do anything they want in their life, but they are paralyzed in their minds. And Christopher Reeve, here we have a man that, despite his condition, wrote 3 best-selling books. Every single day was doing stem cell research to help others and really leave this planet better than what he found it. Despite his circumstances, he was getting himself to take action. And, despite what was happening to him, he was empowered by something, and it was a matter of his mindset. He had conditioned himself. And so if that question wasn't bad enough, Larry said, so tell me, Mr. Reeve, are you afraid of dying? He said, you know what, Larry, I'm not afraid of dying. But I tell you this, the day I do go out, the day I do leave this planet, I'm going to go out climbing the mountain of success like a champion, like a victor, and not die at the bottom complaining about my circumstances like a victim. And right then I remember I got my butt up off the couch and I went into the bathroom and I looked into my little mirror, And I looked at myself deeply in the eyes and I said, where are you right now? Where are you right now? Are you the one that's paralyzed in your mind, paralyzed in your health, paralyzed in your career, paralyzed in your finances, paralyzed in your relationship, paralyzed in your body because you can't get yourself to take action? And I thought to myself, what is the cost to walk around stuck, paralyzed from the neck up and not even realize it? Here we have a fine example of a man that did not make excuses. So I thought to myself, what if you took action today? What if you made some changes? These weren't ideas, but you did something to immerse yourself, to put yourself in an environment where you condition yourself mentally, physically, where you drove yourself, where you were able to do whatever it takes. And so, of course, I ended up going to this Tony Robbins event, and that's what triggered me. I got triggered, I hope this has triggered you to start thinking about what you want to do with your life. And I asked people, I was like, should I go to this thing? Because I was so skeptical. And they were like, just do it. A mentor said to me, it will change your life. It will save your life. It will bond you and your family. It will allow you to take back control of your life. My mentor said, is that what you really want? Is that what you really want? What do you think I said? I said, yes. That's right, I said yes. I said yes. I decided to make some changes. And I'd like to say that my life didn't change overnight, but it changed drastically. I was living on the back part of Santa Monica. And after this event, I felt like I could do anything. And I didn't realize I hadn't laughed in a really long time. I had so much fun. I learned so many strategies, but it wasn't like a boring seminar. I had fun. I laughed, I cried, I released so much. And I learned real strategies for communication that affected everything. I felt like I could do anything. And actually, I used my rent money to pay for the seminar. I don't recommend people do that, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this thing. And I was like, you know what, my life, I'm just barely getting by. I was like, I'm all in. And I think that we all get to that point where sometimes we need to burn the boats. Say, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take action, whatever it takes. And so getting to that point, when you hear all these success stories, it's usually people that got to the point where they're like, you know what, this is it. They stake their claim, they're saying no more. This whole country is here because somebody said, we're not willing to have taxes, without representation. We're saying no more. And so it's getting ourselves to that place of no more, whatever it takes. And sometimes we need to invest in ourselves or invest in ideas or do things that make us a little bit uncomfortable. And so I believe that life isn't about our convenience, but it's about our commitments. And so sometimes being committed to something higher than ourselves requires a certain level of belief. And the only reason you've not done that yet is because some of the limiting beliefs and patterns that you've picked up and have ingrained in you in your past. After this event, living on the back part of Santa Monica, I put up flyers all around a park called Cloverfield Park on Ocean Park and 26th Street, and I started my first company. It was called Gymless Fitness. I did group exercise classes in a park in Santa Monica. I had nothing. I just had humor. I was in good shape. I wasn't eating very much because I was hungry, and I spent all my money on the seminar. So I was very lean, and I would do these little exercise classes with old ladies, walk them around, hold their hand, and I had a donation bucket. But I made like $2,800 in a month. And for me, when you're broke, I felt like $2,800. I'm like the richest person in the world. I can do anything. And success breeds success. That experience shaped my belief, which changed my potential, my belief in myself, which changed my action, changed my results. And I saw those results, more belief, more potential, more action, and it became a success cycle instead of one where I was stuck. And so if you're stuck, or if you'd like to take your life to the next level, well, we might just have something for you. I've done trainings for Tony for a very long time. I've helped a lot of people get there because I believed in it. It was my mission. I didn't want to just make money. I didn't want to sell tickets. I mean, of course, we all want to make money, but I truly believe that I went to this event. I believe that I can make the world better by exposing people to this man. And so I'm here today not to sell you, but I'm here to get you to sell yourself on what's really possible for you and let you know that you don't need to go it alone. There are people that have gone this path before you. They've modeled the way. And the most successful people in the world, they do things to make them more successful. The most healthy people eat in a certain way. There's a pattern there. The most loving people have a way that they talk to themselves. The most successful people have certain patterns. And specifically, the most successful people in the world, they've gone to many events. They continue to invest in themselves. And there's a lot of events out there, especially now you see on Facebook and all these webinars and groups and Facebook ads and people like make this money and, this course and that course, cryptocurrency or, marketing and Facebook ads. And it's all amazing. It's great stuff. But the most successful people on the planet have all been to one event with one guy. And, it's not blowing smoke up your ass. It's true at this point. The most successful people have all gone to one event, whether it's Leonardo DiCaprio or Anthony Hopkins or Princess Diana or Nelson Mandela or Mother Teresa, or just the top real estate agents in the world. Any business out there, they've got certain patterns. And when they really wanted to go game on, they immerse themselves in an environment where they were able to make real changes, not to get ideas, but right there on the spot, implanting and conditioning these things in their nervous system. And it's had the most success at making people more successful. The guy who does this event is obviously Tony freaking Robbins. And the name of the event is this. Write this down. It is called UPW, which stands for Unleash the Power Within. It is a 3-day event with a bonus day on health. I know Brad has something really special for you as well. And that's why I'm on here. Again, I don't work for Tony's company anymore, but I've gotten over 10,000 people to the event because I'm just a huge fan. And I know what it's done for me, and I've seen what it's done for thousands and thousands of people. And I'm here today because I know what it can do for you, your family, your health, your wealth, your success, your happiness, your enjoyment, the quality of your life for you and the ones you care about. And so this event is March 15th through the 18th? Is that right?
That's right, Eli. The one coming up is in San Jose, California. That's going to be March 15th through the 18th. We're also doing a mastermind day. That's my jam. I've done 25 masterminds as a member and about 5 now as a facilitator all over the world for various different reasons. And we're going to do a mastermind day the day beforehand so you can come and meet the team and hang out. We have VIP tickets. I actually just did the math. I had to put up $33,880 to secure this pricing for the people that want to attend at that price. That includes the mastermind day. It's the lowest price that we can possibly offer. I can't tell you exactly what just based on the rules and the promotional stuff with Tony's company, respecting that. And I have utmost gratitude, but we do it at cost basically. So we're going to just give you whatever I paid at cost. So your ticket's covered, your VIP, you're covered. And you'll be able to meet us and ask us any questions. We'll help you sort out any housing or flight details. I've done 10 of these events myself. It's changed my life. I actually have a letter on my wall from the time I did Date with Destiny, where I read it 2 years later and everything in that letter has come true. Like my life is unrecognizable compared to what it was. And I could tell more about my story, but Eli's here because he believes in the mission. I'm here because I believe in the mission. I don't have the ability like Eli and Tony. Their gift is to light fires in people. All I can do is pour gasoline on them. So, just trust that you will be well taken care of. You will be well served by coming to this event, and we'd love to have you. I will post a link just below this video. I'll do that right now.
And I'd like
you
to
can sign up.
As you're doing that, the event, some of you are familiar with this, heard about the event. It's awesome. It's going to be where the San Jose Sharks play, downtown San Jose, absolutely amazing. There'll be people there from 80 different countries around the world. Why would people come from Africa, from New Zealand? Because they're committed. So I don't know where you're at watching this little video. Maybe you're in San Jose, maybe you're in California, maybe you're on the other side of the earth watching this. People come from all over the world because it works. They want to immerse themselves in an environment where they want to feel, they want to get it in their bones. And so that's the opportunity. And so it's a unique opportunity that Brad has here for you. If you do get tickets to this event and you go online, you'll see that the VIP tickets, they're $16.95. Online, they're $11.95. Imagine if you could get it cheaper and get 10 times as much more value. Here's what I mean by that. So you can get a further discount than you can even get for a group. There's a deeper discount. I won't say the price, but it is way less than you can even get from the Tony Robbins company. And with that, just so you know, Brad, if you're not familiar with him, this guy is an amazing guy as far as like looking at the patterns, deconstructing the patterns, taking things from Tony, but really helping people with their business, with their finances. And he's got a mastermind. Hopefully he doesn't mind me sharing. It's $25,000 to attend this mastermind. Imagine if he got that together, all the UPW people, and did a mastermind for you for free, where you can network with other people, get outside, and connect with a community, have like a group. Because when you go to this event by yourself, like I did the first time, I got a lot out of it. But when you're there with a group and you're calling people on your limiting beliefs and you're engaged and you're part, and then after the event, they have a whole nother like training they do for you for free to drive this stuff even further into your nervous system, to talk about it. If you've done any kind of therapy, talking about things, or positive or good, sharing it with somebody else. Like if you won the lottery right now or you had a great day, you would call somebody like, hey, guess what happened? When you share things, you're telling others, but you're also telling yourself. So it's like you get to relive this experience, go deeper in your nervous system, have accountability buddies and partners, because a lot of people go to this event and then they're kind of like just off there to do their own thing. How do we actually take all these skills that you would learn from Tony, the best skills that you can learn on earth? 5 American presidents have them. Our current president could probably use better patterns in his communication, but even he has had some training from Tony. And it was interesting when Tony told me about coaching Trump, they didn't obviously talk about, his character or anything like that, but he had had a bankruptcy and he wanted to get it back. How to get it back? Tony asked him this. He says, he said, what happened to you in your mindset when you went bankrupt? He said, you know what? I lost momentum. Never again will I lose momentum. And so Tony coached him for a bit, and you see, love him or hate him, he has not lost momentum. And so if you've lost momentum already at the 3-week mark, 4-week mark of this year, and you've got some big goals this year, maybe you've lost some momentum, and putting yourself in an environment to immerse yourself with these people in this event with the best coach in the world for 4 days. And then afterwards, being part of a mastermind, a group, making real bonds and connections with people who are committed, not just talking. Everybody there in that room is willing to invest time and money in themselves. These are not the people that talk. These are the people that do. Maybe you could use more people like this in your life. Maybe you could learn something in this environment and then share with other people in your group. Proximity is power. Put yourself in the environment and remember this: who you surround yourself with is who you become. So maybe you want to surround yourself with people that are committed financially, committed emotionally, committed mentally, physically. They show up. And so maybe it's time for you to show up for yourself and your family and your business and ingrain some of these skills. And what Brad has put together for you is better than any deal I've seen anywhere. So the question for you is, before you even know what the cost is, start thinking like, am I committed? Is this what I really want? Because, it doesn't really matter what it is. If people are committed enough, they'll find a way. Like I said, people run races without legs, but they often have a belief system about what they can do. They have a belief system about what they can afford. They have a belief system about time. It is all a mental construct. And this year is going to go by just faster than the other one, faster than the one that just passed. And so if you really like to make some changes, if you're actually, not if you'd like to, if you're committed to, if you've made a real decision that you don't want to just an okay life, but a great one, well, I invite you to come to this event personally. I will be there. Brad will be there. And there is nothing like seeing a Tony Robbins event. He is the best communicator in the history of Earth, not because he's talented, which he is, but he's best at helping people like you and I get more out of themselves. And so that's the opportunity here more than anything else. And so hopefully this has found you well. Brad, if you could share a link with everybody. And so there was like the Mastermind Day, and I think there were some bonuses as well, if you could touch on those.
Yeah, so we do the Mastermind Day. We also have not, this isn't our first rodeo. We actually brought 47 people as VIPs, literally catty corner to the stage. Like Tony walked up to us, like you could reach out and touch him. I wouldn't recommend it though, because he's got a couple bodyguards. Right there at the event in New York, actually, New Jersey. They call it UPW, New Jersey, New York. Back in July. So we brought 47 people. It was great. We did the Mastermind Day beforehand. We rented a space. People got breakthroughs from that. I talked about wealth dynamics. I talked about some of the things we do from a financial perspective. My own background is I ran a very successful hedge fund that returned 106% inside of 1 year. So that was quadruple the S&P that year, which did really well as well. I'm big into blockchain, cryptocurrencies. We've got courses, we've got physical products, digital products. I run 3 companies. So it's my pleasure and greatest service in life to bring groups of people together to learn faster and to connect. And who are the people that are showing up? We have former Navy SEALs, doctors, lawyers, people who run major Fortune 500 companies, people who have 9-figure companies that, you would have heard of if you follow, the financial news. And these are the types of people that UPW attracts. These are the type of people that go to Tony Robbins events. And, not just talking about myself and my team, but we're committed to getting people there, again, at cost. It doesn't, shine for us for profit. Certainly we'll talk about the mastermind and all that, but we typically do this as a function of service, right? We want to grow and give more, and we want people to grow and give more. And I understand that Tony Robbins and Eli and people like them, they have skills that I don't have, and they can teach you things that I can't teach you. So I think the combined kind of 1-2 punch of the mastermind, getting set up, getting excited, we all go together and then experience UPW together as a group. We've all been there before. We can give you the tips and tricks and strategies, get the most out of it. Additionally, we have 51 pages of notes and all the videos from the last mastermind. Yep. which you guys will get right away if you just sign up right there. So that's all available to you. And, we want to make sure that this is a complete and utter no-brainer, and that, ultimately, Tony's been doing this for 40 years. He's the best in the world. And there's no guarantee that he'll continue to do it for 10, 20, 30, 40 years in the future. So it's better. Right. They're cutting back the amount of times. And I hope Tony lives to be 200 years old, and becomes president of the United States and everything else he wants to do. But there will be a time when these events no longer happen. Right. It's just the way of the world. So if you want to experience Tony live, I highly recommend doing it now and getting involved. Additionally, if you do purchase a ticket, you can use it for up to 1 year. So you're not just catty-cornered into this event. We're going to continue to do 2 of these a year and bring people. There's obviously a lot of benefits to going with a group that I've already mentioned. If you guys have questions, I'm happy to answer questions. If you're watching this on the replay, please do reach out. The event is March 14th. Is the Mastermind Day, and then the actual event itself is 15th through the 18th. If you can't make the Mastermind Day for whatever reason, we understand that, but that's open to you as an option as well, and that's included in the price of the ticket. So again, I can't publish the exact price here. It is well worth the money, and it is offered to you at cost. In fact, I'm going to be losing money on this because I believe so much in the work that Tony provides. And thank you, Eli, for articulating that in a way that I will never, unfortunately, be able to do. You're just an incredible human. I'm so grateful to know you, brother, and thank you so much for doing this today.
Thank you. Awesome. Cool. Thanks, buddy.
Right on, guys. Anybody on the call have questions? I see a few people hanging around. I got about half a dozen people still on right now watching in our little group here. And I'm going to be syndicating and broadcasting this to our podcast, to our YouTube channel, to our Facebook, to our email lists. We have a pretty good reach now. Tens of thousands of people read our stuff and watch our stuff. So I want to make sure that even if you couldn't get here live, you understand this is an offer that's available to you. There are a limited number of tickets, and they do sell out. We don't have any control over when they sell out, but they typically start to sell out around the end of the month. I do have some in reserve just in case. Just reach out to us. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate. Eli, thanks again so much for being here.
No problem.
Yeah, brother, I really appreciate it. And Zhao is actually going with us already. Sunshine as well. Brian's coming with us. Thank you so much, guys. It's funny how the people who already have tickets jumped on anyway, just to see us and say hello. And I appreciate that. You guys are rock stars, and I can't wait to see you in person at the event and hang out more. If we haven't met in person, actually, we've 2 of us already met in person, so that's awesome. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap this up here in a few minutes. If you have any questions, please do hit us up. If you were watching the recording, again, we're available. You can just reach out to me at brad@makemoremarbles.com. You can also go to makemoremarbles.com. There's tons of links to UPW on there, of all the various podcasts. We've got a lot of great content for you as well. So we're just going to wrap it up.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you, Eli.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Make More Marbles podcast. For more tips, hacks, and strategies to create an amazing, abundant life in your health, wealth, and relationships, whatever that means to you, head on over to makemoremarbles.com. Check out our cool explainer video about what we're about, and join our community of entrepreneurial game changers. We want to help you level up your life in every possible way. And don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and please do leave a review. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next podcast.